Okay, let's talk about the infamous Patrick Ta eyeshadow duos and the state of the beauty community as I finish up this look. Just a quick rundown of the products that are already on my face and why this is so controversial. This is the Patrick Ta eyeshadow duo. It is extremely glitzy, extremely glamour. It was announced on TikTok maybe 2 weeks ago. Threw the entire app in a frenzy because this is $42, right? People were not happy about that price point. Cool. Here's the fun fact. Patrick Ta is a luxury brand. And so I spent maybe the last week really thinking about, and I've been talking about the beauty industry as a whole for a few months now, but I spent the last few months really thinking about, or the few weeks thinking about like the state of the beauty industry. And here's what I think, right? Let's start with some low-hanging fruit. I think we have gotten to a point where people don't understand the difference between value and affordability. Luxury has never been affordable. Luxury has always been exclusive. And most of the time that exclusivity comes from a price point, not the actual product. And so I find it interesting that people were so hell-bent on wanting to hate this for being $42 when it's a luxury item. Yeah. With that being said, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the first pieces of advice I got when I started my makeup journey back in 2016, and it was from my best friend Danielle. Now, we were roommates at the time, and we went to Walmart for some reason. And I was going down the makeup aisle, and I picked up a makeup palette from a drugstore brand. It was probably $10, and she looked at me and she said, "I don't think you should get this. I think you should just wait and get a better palette. Save up the money, get a better palette like one from Juvia's Place." Just my go-to at this point. And I said, you know what? You are right. And that's how I have really thought about beauty as an investment, right? The other thing that I think is interesting when it comes to the conversation around, oh, is it worth the $42? Is like, people are only talking about the actual product. And I left a comment on a creator's video when they asked, like, do you think it's worth $42? And I said, here's the thing. I'm not only investing in the product itself, I'm investing in the brand. And it's interesting to me that we've gotten to a point where like the market is so oversaturated, people are making dupes of dupes of dupes, that it almost doesn't matter where you go to get a product because you're going to get the same product wherever you go, with varying extents. We know this, but it begs the question, are people really not paying attention to the brands that they buy from? I'm thinking maybe not as much as we once thought, right? Okay, I kind of nailed that. I don't know if they're twinning. A little bit, actually. This is MAC's liquid eyeshadow, by the way. And so that one really threw me off. I was like, I don't think people are actually paying attention to the brands that they pay for. Now there are creators like Gloria who are doing a really good job of talking about inclusivity in specific brands. And I think that's one way we have creators who are talking about like the brand of it in and of itself and sort of the values of the brand. But I think in general, people are just buying product, which gets into the conversation around overconsumption. I'm like struggling. We need to take it. There we go. People are overconsuming. People are overconsuming beauty products. I am also one of those people. I'm not going to exclude myself. I know who I am. And it's getting to a point where it's like, okay, your overconsumption is clouding your ability to really think about what is happening. And I made a video on TikTok not too long ago where I made this statement. I think dupe culture is contributing to overconsumption, which gets us into the conversation around dupes. I'm struggling with this eye a little bit. Okay, well, it is what it is. Probably the best it's going to get. let me, yeah. I think because there's always a dupe lurking around the corner, people don't have to wait to buy what they want. They can just immediately go and buy a dupe. So it's not giving people the time to pause and really think about whether or not they like want a product. Um, yeah, that's a long story, less long. Yeah, I have notes, by the way. I also want to acknowledge this because I said this in a video years ago and then sort of like never brought it up again. I do think, because, you know, when we talk about products, people love to bring it up the economy and the price of things. I do think the shrinking middle class is contributing to the rise and sort of normalization of dupe culture. And yes, that was a lot of like word goop that just came out of my mouth. But back in the day, like you could be middle class and own a luxury bag. You just saved up for it, right? Whether that was a couple of weeks, a couple of months, whatever. It was your Christmas gift, your birthday gift. People can't really save the way that they used to. And so we're not seeing people save the way that they used to. And that's why I think dupe culture is as big as it is now, because instead of people just, you know, waiting the few, you know, months to save the money, they're like, oh, there's a dupe around the corner. It's fine. One thing about dupe culture that really throws me off, though, is sort of this performative poorness. Now, you may be asking, what the hell does that mean? When it comes to this eyeshadow palette, right? I'm going to keep showing it because I really like it, and then I'll show a close-up of my eyes because I did use it as a topper. This is $42. If we go back to the conversation I had, you know, 8 years ago with my friend about just saving the money to buy this, people will buy 8 dupes at $6 to $10 each. Spending more money on dupes than they would just saving the money to buy this. It's not that people can't afford it, it's that people don't see the value in it. Which is fine. But also don't complain about the price. Because you can't afford it. You just don't want to have to pay the money for it. Another thing when it comes to dupe culture is this idea of like, I made a video about this too. I think being chronically online is leading to entitlement, and dupe cultures is feeding into this. Here's what I mean. And I'm like, where am I at with my makeup? Let's do some mascara. Actually, let's do my brows. I have this new product from Kulfi Beauty. It is Free the Brow. I'm a Kulfi Beauty ambassador. They have some beautiful, amazing products if you have not tried them. In fact, I'll probably do a comparison between the Patrick Ta Eyeshadow Duo and their Zari eyeshadows because they're very different. They navigate very differently, but my gosh. Does the Zuri eyeshadows put the Patrick Ta Duo up for a fight? Yes. Just wanted to show you this. So this is like the brush, the comb. Trying to do the whole influencer thing. Oh, okay. So that actually works. That's not just like a trope. And then if you unscrew it, there's the actual product. But anyway, I think people are chronically online. I think people, when I say chronically online, what I mean is like they're always seeing new things, and so they're always wanting these new things, leading to their overconsumption. And then once again, people don't have the discernment to understand whether or not they, one, really need something, or two, should have it because they want it. It's leading to entitlement. People see the $42 eyeshadow palette because larger creators are talking about it and they're like, I have to have it. But do you? Do you have to have it, or do you just want it? And just because you want it does not mean that Patrick Ta needs to think about his prices when it comes to, I like this. This is my first time using the product, if you guys didn't know. Yeah, it's leading to a lot of entitlement. To tell somebody that their product is not worth the price that they set for it because you can't afford it, that's pure entitlement. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to say about dupe culture, and this is no shade to any creator who did this, but I did roll my eyes every time I saw one of these videos come up, is this whole like, So this is the Patrick Eyeshadow Duo. It's $42. People have been wondering if it's worth the price. If you can't afford $42, guess what? Here's a dupe. Can we let a product breathe for a minute? Can we let her have her moment before we start throwing dupes out there? This product wasn't even available yet, right? This product released a week ago. Or not even a week ago. Technically, it released going into Monday. And I had already seen like 3 or 4 different types of dupes on TikTok. Can we let a product have its moment? I think it's rude to just be like, here's a product, and if you can't afford it, here's another one. And if I was Patrick Ta, honestly, I would be a little salty that people could not make a video about my product without also including 8 other dupes of it. I'm just saying, like, let her have her moment. Now we're gonna get into the mascara of it all. Look at my brows. Look at me. They're not perfect because I need to get them cleaned up, but they're nice. I like that product. It was nice and thick. Anyway, what are we on to next? Branding. Yeah, this sorry, that was my transition into the whole branding of it all. As influencers, I think we have to be careful about how we brand ourselves and how we work with brands. Like I said, to me, if I was Patrick Ta, I'd be a little upset that proper attention wasn't given to my product because people were complaining, which led to people focusing more on like the dupe of it all than the actual product. I'm like reading the sentence. Are you as an influencer really giving a product brand the attention they deserve, however good or bad? The however good or bad is funny because that's probably me wanting to talk about the whole Jeffree Star Michaela of it all. Now here's the thing. I was on YouTube in 2016, but I was only paying attention to Makeup Shayla, Ellery, and It's My Ray Ray. I have no clue what went down with Jeffree Star. I know it had something to do with Jackie Ann, and I know it had something to do with him being racist. With that being said, this is not an endorsement of Jeffree Star in any way, but I do laugh anytime he gets on that clock app and he clocks Michaela. Because once again, she was one of the people who immediately went to showing a dupe for the Patrick Ta product. I get Patrick Ta, and then One Size is by somebody whose last name is Star, and so in my mind I'm like Patrick Star. Let me Google that man's name because that is so rude not to be like. And it might be Patrick Star. It might be. Let me see. One Size creator. Yeah, Patrick Star. Okay, so I'm not crazy. I get Patrick Star and Patrick Ta and Jeffree Star mixed up sometimes, just in my brain, because, you know, words. And then, you know, I think Jeffree Star made sort of a point when he said, like, if you are sort of in bed with a brand, I guess is the best way of putting it. Like, if you are an ambassador, if you have a long-term partnership with them, if you mention them, maybe you should mention that you also are getting paid to mention them, even if it's in passing. Like I said, I'm a Kulfi Beauty ambassador. This is not my official video on the brow product, but it's probably good for me to mention that I'm an ambassador and that I got the product for free, which is one of the reasons why I'm using it in this video, despite the fact that I'm not specifically getting paid to promote that product in this video, you know? I also wanted to get into, speaking of e.l.f., some of their branding, because I feel like e.l.f., I feel like it's so sad what happened with them. And the question that I wrote down is being a dupe brand a good long-term investment? And it reminds me of sort of like early days. I'm going to do my lips, and I'm like, is my lip product here? Back in 2016, Elf and Colourpop were considered like the affordable yet good sort of makeup brands. And we are 8 years deep now, and we've seen how those two have sort of um, grown in very different ways. Elf has become the Dupe brand. And like in the long run, yeah, it'll probably work out for them, but in terms of like their branding, is that really what they want to be known as? Is the Dupe brand? Maybe. On the other hand, you have someone like Colourpop who, yeah, they've had their issues over the years. I'm not gonna lie, I stopped using them around 2018 because they were having quality issues with their products. But I, towards the beginning of this year, started using their products again, and I think they're great. I think they've worked through most of the quality issues. It's interesting to see how they have sort of split and gone in two very different directions. Because for me, like I said, Elf used to be an affordable brand. You doing a dupe of a $40 lip oil and it still being $12 to $16, not affordable. Not affordable in the long run when I can just wait and buy a Patrick Ta lip gloss. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. And then the other thing in terms of like the branding of it all, and I have been saying this since March. I put on lip balm and then I went to put on the lip pencil and they're not interacting with one another. The duping of a dupe of a dupe. I have said for a hot minute that one of my biggest problems with the makeup industry over the past few years is that nobody is really doing anything that's innovative. Nobody is really putting out a product that I think is worth my time and my money. That's kind of not a luxury brand. I think Patrick Ta is doing a really good job. I think a non-luxury brand that forever has some sort of stakehold is Juvia's Place. Their eyeshadow palettes, to me, in terms of being affordable and high quality, will never be touched. But for the most part, we're not getting a whole lot from. I have double lined lips and I'm still struggling to figure out how to properly line them. We're not getting a lot from these brands. We're getting dupes of dupes of dupes. And it's getting out of hand and it's diluting brands so much so that like I said earlier, anybody can go to any brand to buy any product because they're all selling the same thing. The exceptions, like I said, are some of these luxury brands like Danessa Myrick, Pat McGrath. I will even go as far as saying One Size is putting out some innovative stuff. But everybody else, it's like, what are y'all doing? I'll probably do a video of like some of my favorite products who have come out in recent years. Because I do, you know what? I'm going to do an orange. Because my eyes are orange. I was going to put on red, which is from the lip bar. This is Rebel. I'm not going to do that. BRB, I'm going to go find my orange. Or do I want to do, is this Bichette? No, this is LAX from Colourpop. Speaking of Colourpop, yeah, like I said, been buying them again. But BRB. My accents for today are orange, so I have orange on my lid. So I'm like, might as well do orange on the lip too. Maybe too bright of an orange. Back to the topic of conversation. The lack of creativity and the sort of the rise of dupe culture within the beauty and makeup industry. How do we feel about this? I think it's killing the industry as a whole. We're lacking innovation. And like I said, there are some products that I bought sort of last year going into this year that I think are really innovative and really great. Those include, like, I'm trying to think, Topical Slick Salve. I think it is an amazing product. for me, it's been Fenty, and the lip gloss is Fuchsia Flex, Major Flex, and they just released a collaboration with, I think, League of Legends Arcane is the name of the collaboration. I literally bought Kaboom yesterday. It's sort of like a warm gray brown, like a warm dark greige. Chef's kiss. I can't wait for it to come in the mail. I'm trying to think what else I got, because I have like a box of beauty products over here that I recently bought. Once again, getting back into like ColourPop, simple but easy, cost effective but worth the money type of product. I don't know. I still have almost all my stuff from Sephora that I need to check out too. And then you have like some tried and true products. Urban Decay recently released a new all-nighter spray. This one has hyaluronic acid. Once again, my skin's a little dry, so this is nice. It smells really good too. I think One Size has a really nice setting spray too. That one has been amazing. But yeah, in conclusion, dupe culture is getting out of hand, and I am running late. Until next time.